Meghan Markle is yet again misinterpreting things because I was here in London for Trooping the Color this weekend. It is a grand and glorious occasion. It gives you goosebumps when you're on the Royal Mall waiting for the fly past and seeing the royals on the balcony. There is absolutely nothing like it. And yet, Meghan Markle, I would argue, misinterpreted her time as a royal. In addition to that, I think she's misinterpreting what's going on now with her Instagram account because sadly for Meghan, I don't think the twerking heard around the world is going to be the slam dunk for the future of her brand that she thinks it is. In fact, she's apparently fired a lot of her former PR team because that video has done so well and others had told her to do it. And so she's like, I'm going to go with that team. But looking at this entire situation, I think once again, Meghan Markle is wildly off base on what the likability is, why people watch the video, and how it's not, I don't think, going to be the best thing for her brand in the future. Much like leaving the royal family way too early by thinking she was, you could say, better than the rest of the royals. Meghan Markle just doesn't really totally get it. And I think this is a great opportunity post trooping to go over this sort of craziness because I think it's so important to reflect on who the royals really are, why they're popular, why they are a mainstay, and how Meghan Markle just simply, I don't think, fully understands what it means to be both royal and actually popular. So we are going to get into all this, but if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. I do provide compelling royal commentary. So if you guys want to hit that subscribe button, I would love to have you back. Like I said in the intro, I was just covering Trooping the Color earlier this week. So if you want to check out the live stream reaction where I share a lot of my pictures and videos, feel free to click the link up above either after this video or when you get done with this video or whatever, because I would love for you to check that out as well, because these trips are a labor of love. There are a long time out waiting to get the perfect shot, sometimes getting it, sometimes not, and just trying to do everything to get the best royal coverage possible. So I would love it if you guys check that out. We will not be doing a crown report section for this video because I am traveling and I don't want to take too much time to go through the other royal news because sometimes that can be a bit time consuming to get all the pictures and videos and everything that I want. But I will mention that today is Father's Day and we did get a couple of lovely pictures of Prince William with his kids. So that was so great to see. They felt very a la 2020, but it's been amazing to see how grown up the kids are. All right, guys. So let's get into this whole popularity thing. You could say this topic has been rattling around in my brain for a bit. And as I was sitting down to sort of figure out and get somewhat a plan for this video, I really started to think about what it means for Meghan in this future because she really does think that this is like this video that she posted of her twerking. This is going to be the future. I mean, she's fired half of her PR team because of this video and how well it's done. And she's making so many decisions, I think, based on this. We haven't seen a post so far today. It is almost 5 p.m. This would be London time. So it would be like about 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we have yet to see a Father's Day post from Meghan. Now, she probably will do one. But at the same time, I think it's sort of indicative that she did a post of Lily at like 3 a.m. or something Pacific time, and now we're waiting a lot longer to get one for Harry. She's definitely focusing in on Lily, and I think the wait is an indicator of where things are at. But Meghan is so focused on Instagram, and I think much to her disadvantage. She saw this twerking video and somebody told her, "Oh, this will help you look approachable. You should post this." And you also got to think as well, Meghan Markle has been holding on to this video, wondering when would be the time to post this. So this was not an attempt to look, let's say, approachable to the average person. This was a very strategic move, which I feel like takes the approachability out of it. When you are trying to be, I think, natural, it comes through. But when you're doing something particularly to keep it for your advantage at some point in a media game, then it kind of loses its, let's say, authenticity, which is what Meghan desperately needs. And so she posted this video and had a big reaction. And of course, there was one group that shared something really interesting, which I commented on, and I think is very appropriate for this video. I don't know what femme in Inigra is. I don't even know what that is, don't care. But what they said here, which I'm sure was maybe helped by Meghan, said the British press has spent years insisting Meghan is disliked, unpopular, or irrelevant. But just in a few months, she's attracted more eyes than William and Catherine combined without the crown, the PR budget, or the taxpayer funded machine behind her. But that's not necessarily true. Meghan Markle has a massive PR team behind her. She had like 10 or 12 PR people on her team until very recently. So this idea that she was sans this huge apparatus is just ridiculous. She just happens to hire hers out. And the thing is, again, I was just on the Royal Mile. The point of royalty is not necessarily to be popular. They're not chasing popularity. They're serving the people. And this is also maybe a good time to share something that I got when I was walking around today, which is this cover of the Sunday Telegraph. I don't know, it's probably too close if you can't see. It says the firm out in force because this is the firm. And some members are more popular than others. I would say in general, I mean, I think trooping's the attendance has been a little down in coming years. That could be for a variety of reasons, but the firm is out in force and they get the front page of the paper. And it's not because of quote unquote popularity. It's because royals serve a very important role. Charles is the head of state of the United Kingdom, in addition to other countries connected to the Commonwealth. So this is Canada, Australia, and Belize, I think, as well, and a couple other countries. In addition to those, he has a strong relationship with via the Commonwealth. So this would be like India and Pakistan, two huge countries. In fact, there were black armbands worn during Trooping the Color to mark the Air India accident. And so I think this is important to showcase is that royals are not chasing popularity for popularity's sake. They are serving the people. And then by extension, they do often become popular. And you could see actually a great example of this in Princess Anne. Princess Anne is not popular because she was chasing the popularity bandwagon or trying to be the freshest or trying to hit the latest trend or anything like that. Anne is popular because she gets the job done. She doesn't take any crap. And she seems to have a good head on her shoulders. And as a result, people connect with her, not because she's doing the latest trendy thing. In fact, her clothes often are 20, 30, 40 years old. She's not chasing the trends. She's actually wearing the same thing, you could say, endlessly. Instead, though, she's just working. She's representing her country, her mother, now her brother, her people. And that is what has endeared her to the people, is that act of service, not self-service, not, again, trying to chase that elusive popularity thing that is more reminiscent of high school than anything. It's that she does the work. And Meghan, you could say, and you could see this reflected in this little piece, is probably so excited because, oh, I got 260 million views. And Catherine and William only got 143. Catherine and William are not doing something to get attention. And the way Meghan Markle is, they're doing their job. Meghan is doing it for attention's sake. And that is a huge mistake, I think, especially for someone who claims the title of royalty. But at the same time, too, I want to be, you could say, somewhat clear here that Meghan Markle, I think, has radically misinterpreted the reaction to her video because, oh, I got 40 something million, maybe 50 million views now. Bravo, big claps. But I don't think everybody is watching just because they loved it. You know, sometimes people just like watching the car crash, the train wreck, the mess, the disaster. Why do you think Real Housewives is popular? It's not because they're showing posh women living posh lives. In part, it's for the drama, the messiness. That's what attracts the audience. The same thing with most of the shows on TLC. It's not for the Learning Channel, as the channel is named there in the United States. They're watching 90 Day Fiance to watch the personal drama of people who are messy, who have issues, who yell and who scream and who do awful things to each other. That is what attracts people. That often does attract an audience. And that's the audience I think Meghan Markle is starting to attract. I don't think People were watching just because, "Oh my gosh, she's so cute. She's dancing while pregnant. That's following a trend. Oh my gosh." No. Sure, some people were watching for that, of course. But people like me watched it several times, not because I was like, "Oh, so cute." I was like, "Oh," it was like the most awful thing. It was because it was awful. It was terrible. It was horrible. I was horrified. I was disgusted and, like, got the ick factor, and I watched it because it was compelling in the most awful way, and that is Meghan Markle's attractiveness right now. And if she's thinking her regular stuff will work, no, no, no. She has to be the mess now. She's shown us she's a mess. So she has to now portray that more and more. She did not get the audience for being classy and dignified and those sorts of things. She attracted, I would argue, a tacky audience. I'm sorry if you love the video, hey, more power to you. I saw it as tacky. I saw it beneath somebody of royalty. You would never, never, ever, ever see Catherine, the Princess of Wales, by any stretch of the imagination, twerking in a hospital room. If she twerks within the comfort of her own home, she's smart enough not to release it. And the thing is, Meghan Markle's twerking, I would argue, was low class. And so she's attracted maybe somewhat of more low class audience. And now she's thinking those additional followers, the 700, 800,000 who followed because of that, that they're somehow going to turn into her consumers in a brand that's marketed to like happy homemakers. It doesn't compute, it doesn't connect, and so Meghan Markle is again maybe trying to go for the upscale version of who she's trying to attract, which is, like, people who club, I guess. If you club, I guess not trying to be offensive, but not my thing. I was thinking once my version of clubbing would be being in the British Museum with, like, nice, like, instrumental music playing as we look at the history discoveries, and then maybe have a cool court dance. Yeah, that's my definition of club. Not most people's, but Meghan Markle attracted again. She's attracting two separate crowds, or trying to, because she's chasing popularity. She's not committing to a persona and allowing that to naturally grow her audience over time. She's so desperate for attention, so desperate for the likes and the clicks and everything that she'll throw up a video and debase herself and see it gets a reaction because, of course, it does. You're selling sex, you're selling messiness, you're selling drama, you're selling tackiness, and that does attract an audience, but it's not necessarily a good one. And it's not what the Reels are trying to attract, because the Reels are not really trying to attract an audience. They're just there. And it's the continuity over time that attracts people. It's the stories, it's the history, it's the culture, it's the legacy, it's the traditions. That's what attracts people, not them, let's say, doing a massive jig on the balcony or something like that. People go and they chant "God Save the King," they sing the national anthem, and they share their pride in being British, and the royal family, of course, is part of that. But as Meghan Markle chases trends and I think chases popularity, inevitably, you do kind of undermine yourself, because I think what I see is that I just generally don't like people who are always chasing trends. Because if you're always chasing trends, that means you're always following somebody. You're always trying to hit the mark rather than just saying, "This is me. I don't care if the trend right now is super short skirts. I like the midi length. And so I'm going to go with the midi length. I don't care what anybody says." And that is obviously more of a fashion reference, but that's the thing. It's like I've never been to a club, have no desire to go clubbing. So I probably will never go to a club. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Do people think that maybe that's a little weird? Sure. But that's me. And I admire people who do things because they want to do them regardless of what other people think. They're not trying to follow the crowd. They're not trying to follow the trends. They're just being themselves. And that's the one thing Meghan Markle can't be, because I think at the very core of it, the person she doesn't like the most is herself. And the ironic thing is, because Meghan Markle is chasing this popularity, and I think making, of course, big decisions, firing her or half of her TR team because of it, She is doing the same thing she did when she left the royal family because Meghan Markle misinterpreted what was going on with the royal family when she was in it. And she made the decision to leave in part because she misunderstood what people were actually reacting to. Because Meghan Markle went on the Australia tour with Harry. And they've said this a couple of times that they thought the royal family was so jealous that she was getting all the attention and that she was so great. She's just like Diana, yada, 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 yada. And they thought that everything that was happening was because of Meghan's personality, because of what was Meghan doing, Meghan wearing all these sorts of things. No, the attention was not because of Meghan. It was because of who Meghan married. Meghan married into the British royal family. It's not her that became the star. She became part of a constellation that was already in existence. I made the analogy before, and I think it's so incredibly true and so incredibly simple, is that royalty is like our solar system. The sun is not whoever the monarch is, it's the crown itself. And so, depending on where you orient around the sun, depends on your place in the line of succession. So, Charles as king, he's Mercury. The sun shines on him the most. Next is Venus. That would be William and Catherine because they're next. And then it goes on and on and on and on and on. And the further back you are, the less the sun shines on you, unless the power of the crown helps to elevate you. So Meghan Markle believed, I think very erroneously, that people were really into her and really into her and Harry. And yes, there's a certain group of people that they're called the Sussex Squad. And Meghan Markle, I think, generally did, let's say, invigorate them with that little twerking thing, because I think that's sort of the level of her crowd is that they like twerking. And we've heard, tends to attract younger people. And I think she's very proud of that. The problem is, Meghan, just putting this out there, younger people grow up and sometimes they fall out of love with you because they realize you're immature and they've grown and Meghan hasn't. That's sort of the thing that happens sometimes because I think, again, the continuity of the monarchy means is that I think people start to appreciate the royal family more the older they get. I've heard this with history too. The older people get, the more they appreciate history. They're like, I was in high school, and I've heard this numerous times when I was working, is that some people go, oh, I didn't care about history at all when I was in high school, but now I'm sort of into it. I feel like there's a bunch of things I don't know. And I feel like that's so many people. I've always been interested in history. Even if nobody else cared, I was always interested in it and I liked it and I studied it. That's why I love. No, that's not everybody's thing. I still don't get math. And if you love math, more power to you, science, whatever. But my thing was history. And so at the time, Meghan didn't calculate in there that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't about her and Harry. It was about the crown itself. And so when they left, they lost a little bit of that shine and they've never been able to fully grasp it again. And so Meghan devolving into twerking is not an expression of how, let's say, popular she is and how cool she is. It's a reflection of the fact that she tried to do the royal thing a bit, the cosplay royal routine, and she wasn't attracting an audience. She had to be tacky and classless to attract an audience because at the end of the day, being classy like a royal didn't totally work for her because she wasn't royal anymore. And it looked fake. And at the end of the day, influencing is Meghan Markle's level. There are a bunch of people on social media who can be completely and utterly classy like a royal, I think. Meghan Markle fundamentally can't do it because she didn't have the class to begin with. And I don't mean class as in like very delineated class, because I think people who are born, you could say, in lower classes can get into royalty and shine. Meghan Markle, though, she doesn't want to be one of those people. She never wanted to. Influencing is her level. She can't do anything else. She wasn't a great actress. She was a crappy royal. And so influencing is her level. And granted, again, want to put a caveat there because some people could consider me an influencer. I do think there's levels of being influencers, and Meghan can't really give any depth to anything. That is why we get the twerking. That's why the twerking worked, is because that is her at the end of the day. And I think people finally connected a little bit with that little bit more of an authentic self. Even if it was a completely and utterly strategic move, it was at the same time also a reflection of the fact that Meghan Markle was finally, I think, showing us a little bit of her true self, which is not the classy woman she tries to portray, but the tacky woman she's always been. Is that too harsh to say? Let me know what you think. And then another thing as well is that Megan, I'm sure, is very, very thrilled, unbelievably thrilled with the fact that she is now at 3.8 million followers on Instagram. The growth, guys, it's been exponential. It's actually really quite bad. 3.8 is actually not that good. When you consider the massive media footprint that Meghan Markle has, she's been on numerous magazine covers and those sorts of things. People who don't have that luxury have a lot more followers than she does. In fact, it's sort of funny. Lydia Elise Millen, who's been sort of a big name in the influencer space for a long time. She's very, very classy and elegant. I think Meghan Markle could take lessons from her, and she's made her classiness and regalness, you could say, Lydia has. She's kind of spun it into a 1.6 million followers without the benefit of a royal title. But what's fascinating too is Lydia can now just go by Lydia. She doesn't even do the Elise Millen. She just now has Lydia as her Instagram. And I find that really funny because Meghan Markle also is just Meghan because she thinks she's so cool and great. But the thing is about Instagram, and this is reflected in Hollywood too. And I've heard people talk about this, and I can definitely see it being true, is that Hollywood still doesn't totally get social media. And one of the things they think is that the more followers you have, the more people will go to see your films. And that's not true. So a lot of people have talked about Zendaya being cast in like everything. But at the same time, Zendaya is not really getting butts in seats when it comes to some of her films. It's other things, or it's the other co-stars or the subject matter, what have you. It's just really her that's getting people there. And Hollywood producers actually look at your social media following to determine roles sometimes. If you have a higher social media following, you might have a better shot at getting a part. Hollywood might be doing that. However, that doesn't mean it's actually resulting in good dividends because Meghan Markle thinks, and I think Netflix does too, that all these new followers will result in a bigger consumer base. And I think that's wrong. I think that's totally the wrong read for this situation because, yes, it does help, but doesn't always necessarily mean that your base will convert. And I think that is a huge issue for Megan. She has so little data when it comes to her brand. She has so little data. She had a minuscule, tiny launch, I think, barely any products. It did sell out, but we have no clue any other performance metrics. I mean, to be honest, we have no clue of her Instagram performance metrics, really, because she hides them all. And if you're so proud of everything, if you have no issue sharing and talking about the reaction to things, and if you're chasing popularity, why not show how popular you really are by being transparent in how many likes and interactions you're getting? She won't even put the comments on. I somewhat understand that, but not showing likes and any sort of metrics, I think it's a reflection of somebody who's terrified of the real reaction to her. And so she kind of hides and has this little happy dance because, oh, I got 800,000 followers out of this one post, but you're still not being transparent about the rest. So there's obviously some level of concern that you are having. But still, walking this all back, Megan has no metrics that these new followers will turn into consumers. We have no clue how many products she has. We have no clue if any of her new followers will be attracted to her products or if they'll not like them. We have no clue if she's made her products any better after the first initial batch was a whole lot of meh. We have no idea. And again, Meghan Markle is making radical changes based on very little data. Because, yeah, a twerking video once in a while might get you a big boost, but will it hold you over the long term? That is a big question. And I think it's a question Meghan can't really answer because the popularity and the endurance of the British monarchy is not because of the popularity contest, of chasing trends, of trying to be the most radical and out there and getting the first to the line or what have you. Royalty remains strong because it connects to the past and it has an identity that is separate from whatever else is going on in the world. Royalty, it moves slowly when it changes. And because of that, I think it has a greater endurance than the flippantness of Meghan Markle and her chasing of Instagram fame. So, guys, let me know what you think of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you liked my thoughts or not, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Bye.